You're all good.
It doesn't look like it's full screen.
Yeah, it's probably fine like that if you want. Just click on it. There you go.
All right.
Good. Cool. All right.
Thanks, Jesse. Nice to meet you guys. So I'm Zoe Koulouris. Give me a little intro. I'm just gonna start out, just try to get to know you guys a little bit. Apologies if you've already done this a few times with every teacher, but I just want to. That's a weird color. Oh, it's coming out a little light. Can you guys see that? The color is like a darker gold, but it's looking really faded. So I just want to start out, like, just really, we can do this quick because we're already really a bit behind schedule. Just want to have you guys tell me your name and tell me your main goal for the program, and then your least favorite topic, and then one fun fact. So we'll start, I guess, over here.
My name is Karen. My main goal, obviously, is to code, find a full-time job that I'm just looking for, and I can just retire from one job. My favorite subject so far, HTML and CSS so far. It's fun, I guess. And I'm not too sure about that. I understand it, but I don't know. And a fun fact. Caterpillars have more muscles than humans.
Cool. I meant about yourself, but that's good. Sure. Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
My name is Clay, and my main goal is to gain enough skills to be employable in a new field. My favorite and least favorite topics so far. I don't know. I'm having a good time. Like, this is going pretty well.
Okay. Cool.
I'm really struggling. I'm not that much fun. Yeah. I'm really into science, so maybe one day, once I learn, more about the field, I'll be able to find my science, chemistry background with computer science stuff.
That's a good one. Thanks.
I'm Kate. My main goal is also to, at some point, make the jump towards coding. I don't really have a favorite or least favorite yet. So far, I've enjoyed all of it. And my fun fact is, my dog is my life. So.
Okay. Awesome. Well,
I don't have. My name is Cashley. Cash. I don't want to go. I mean, necessarily anyway. What's your favorite? I think everything is fun to learn, especially HTML and CSS. So I think it's fun. Fun fact: I love to cook.
I'm Jennifer. I TA for this program because I had a lot of success learning programming, starting from the beginning. I want to kind of share those experiences of kind of starting from the beginning, like you guys are. I've really liked the JavaScript portion thus far, and also learning about SAS, which I didn't really know much about before. I was seeing this program, and I'm an only child.
sorry, I thought you purposely passed yourself before. I didn't mean to skip over you. Thanks. learning all kinds of things already.
Hi, my name is Nakia Thompson. My main goal for the program is to be able to get my web development skills to a place where I can code creatively. It's just build what's on my mind. My favorite so far would have to be JavaScript or like just the Flexbox stuff. That's pretty cool. My least favorite is structuring your document. I get lost in it when it gets to a certain point, and that's not fun for me. Fun fact, I used to skateboard and still love the skateboard culture.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your name and your name again?
My name's Tim.
Tim. And
Dakir.
My name is Nana, and my one goal of this program is to be an awesome person. This favorite would have to be SAS and CSS. Mostly SAS, but my favorite right now, I'm kind of leaning toward JavaScript. HTML, I understand, but JavaScript seems a little easier, and one fun fact is I don't have one.
nothing?
But wait, I know the first 25 hours.
There you go. Got all kinds of sciencey people in here. Okay.
Hi, I'm Beth Elizabeth. My main goal for this program, I'm so glad you're here, by the way, I'm an Ethereum aficionado. It is my favorite part of this program, even though we haven't covered it yet. It's also my least favorite topic because I can't explain the blockchain in less than an hour. And still, I can never explain the blockchain to people. And I've been using it for since the early days, which isn't that long ago. So the other stuff is just overwhelming my brain. But I'm glad you're here because you get to know what you guys do with smart contracts.
Cool. Yeah, we're not going to be covering that, but
It's okay.
but if yeah, you can reach out and. What was your name again?
My name's Elizabeth Beth. My main goal for the program is something brand and ether related. Fun fact, well over 50, and I like seeing people get surprised when I say that. Get surprised.
Go ahead.
It's my turn. I'm Caitlin. What am I supposed to say next? My main goal, I think, I don't know, I set a lot of little goals for myself, but main goal down the road, eventually is safe. I want to get into like cybersecurity field, and so I don't know yet. I might change my mind the more I learn, but for now, that's what I want to be, or what I want to do, where I want to be. My favorite topic so far, I think, is JavaScript because it's been challenging, but it's fun to like make things, do things. So that's been cool, and I want to continue to learn more about that. And a fun fact, I have a 5-year-old daughter.
Hi, I'm Kelly. My main goal for this program is to start a career as a web developer, and also to kind of figure out what I want to do with that career, and also build some cool stuff. I think that'd be fun. My favorite and least favorite topics. Okay, so my favorite topics, I like HTML. I actually really like SAS. SAS is kind of fun. I've enjoyed parts of JavaScript, and some of it like I understand. So my least favorite parts, I keep trying to display flex everything in CSS, which apparently you don't need to do. So I just use that too much. And I agree with Zakir. I have trouble with like where the structure is. So some of these things, like when it gets too far in. I'm just like, where am I? I don't know what this is. I also have an issue with callback functions in JavaScript. Like, I'm not sure I really understand what those do, but I'll figure it out. And a fun fact about me is I have 3 tattoos.
Nice.
Great.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's a work safe answer. I have one here.
Safe.
And then, you know, it's work safe answer. And then I have 2 on the outside of my cast.
Thank you. All right, you can go ahead.
Hello, my name is Dana, and my main goal for this program is to finish. I've always been a good starter of projects, never been a great finisher, so just trying to be more consistent to finish because I would like to get maybe my dream job within technology, and I'm also wanting to give back to the community, maybe to come back to careers in code, or maybe start some other type of program at the library or some other place just to maybe teach some of what I've learned. And my favorite topic is JavaScript. My least favorite has been GitHub and the command line. And a fun fact about me is I love to roller skate, rollerblade, bike ride, and ride motorcycles.
Nice. Thanks.
So I'm Eva. I got interested in coding when I worked on political campaigns in the past, and I got very interested in it in terms of language and just how the computer is interacting with the user at the other end, and how it's become a communication language of its own. I get frustrated sometimes with the attention to detail, but it's fun at the politics to really delve into pure logic. So that's been kind of fun.
What was your name again?
Eva.
Do you have a fun fact?
Fun fact. I have 2 children and 2 dogs.
Just got a full family. All right, I think that's everyone. Thanks for taking the time to go through. I just wanted to know you a little bit more. So, just wanted to say that I feel like I don't really have a job because I finally found something that I am enjoying doing. Basically, working with a team of people that I really like working with, and it's my own company, and I get to create things every day for clients and work with my clients, and really, because it's my company, I feel like I'm trying the best I can every day. And so, but overall, besides like specifically at work, just in general, I like to create things and, you know, just keep learning. And that's really what development is all about. But today we're going to really be, well, I'm going to give you a little bit of more of an intro on myself, and just as a heads up, we're going to really be taking a little bit of a break from coding for the next 2 days and focusing on design and the importance of design in coding. And I'll get more, because design has kind of become a general term, so we'll discuss what that actually means when it comes to software development and how it's important when you're looking at the bigger picture, especially working with clients. So that's what we're going to cover for the next 2 days, and I posted a presentation if you guys want to follow along. And then the next 2 days we're going to be talking about actually applying accessibility. What is accessibility in software development, and how do you apply that in your code? And it's okay if you don't know what that means yet. We're going to get into that. So, so a little bit about me. My education, I'll start from the bottom. So I graduated from Syracuse University, not software development, was in business, and I didn't actually start getting into software development until 2015, so only just a few years ago. But I was always interested in tech and worked at some tech companies. And then finally, I did a software boot camp locally that started a couple years ago called Start Fast Code. It's a local organization, Start Fast Venture Accelerator, that created a boot camp. It's actually not currently going on anymore. So you guys are really lucky that you have careers in code that's going on, because it's kind of a challenge to find a good coding accelerator locally. And so it's a really cool opportunity. As far as work experience, out of college, I worked at Progressive Expert Consulting, and they run a network of online language training classes for military. At least that was the contract I was working on. And so I was doing customer relations and technical training for their clients, which are government military personnel who are traveling, going on special missions, and had to use virtual language training software. So it wasn't software development, but I was exposed. And then the next, I wasn't there very long. I moved on to co-founding a company called 3 Pound Health, which was a health software startup where we were trying to improve the communication between a patient and clinician using population health management. And it was really an idea of 2 local physicians, and it was just really good timing that I got in from the beginning. And then, unfortunately, after a lot of investment put into that company, it ended up closing in 2016, and that was really, and I'll get into it a little bit more, that was really what pushed me into software development, the whole experience working at that company. And then I went through those boot camps and met my team, and now I'm at Upstate Interactive. So I don't know if you guys recognize the guy on the left, Doug. So I actually work with him. He's one of the partners in Upstate Interactive. And Ksenia and Peter, I met Ksenia in my first software development class, New York Code and Design Academy, which actually Jeff Passetti was our teacher at the time. And so Jeff was my first software development teacher, which was cool. Love Jeff. And then I met Peter through Start Fast Code, well, through OpenHack mainly, and then he was a teacher in Start Fast Code. So we just all met through the local community, which was cool. So Upstate Interactive, we actually build custom software for our clients, and basically web and mobile. And then also we've recently got into blockchain, specifically smart contract development. So we are hiring software developers locally, just so you guys know. If you're interested, we can talk more later. And then what I currently am focusing on, because with a startup, kind of doing a little bit of everything, but lately I've been doing mostly project management with my clients, and what that looks like is running through a software development from the beginning to like the end, which for us we have it's a pretty typical agile, if you know what agile workflow is, where we have a discovery and design phase, which is basically all research and design, and we'll either contract on a user experience designer, or we'll do that work, and we'll do user testing and some of the design stuff that I'm going to talk about in a few. And then we'll have a developer on the project, and we'll go through, and we really do a lot of technical research and map out what the technical stuff's going to look like the database, and then the front end components and things like that before we even get into a development phase. We actually go through that first before we even give a development estimate, because you really don't know how long something's going to take or how complex it is until you validate different pieces and make sure your users are actually going to need them. So that's what my main focus is right now. And then also I'm focusing on front-end web development, which is just like the user experience on the front end, the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and we're using a tool called NativeScript, which allows you to build native mobile applications like iOS and Android using web technologies. And I think a couple people here went to my Women in Coding class on that. So I really like that a lot, because it makes mobile development more accessible to web developers, and just things are changing, and there's more and more technology out there to allow developers to do that. This is like me at 3 Pound Health. So like I said, we started out like brand new company, trying to build a software product. This is my first experience. I had no idea what this was, what that was like. And so our team had to hire on developers. We actually contracted out a development team first, and then we hired on our own developers. So I watched that take place, gathering requirements, trying to figure out like how to architect this thing. And that wasn't really my responsibility, but I was involved in that. And then my main responsibility at the time was working on our marketing and lead generation and managing the pilot studies that we did. So we had like we had an MVP product that we did a pilot study with a small group of people, and we had them test it out for a period of time. And then the woman that who's now a good friend of mine was the director of research. She, looked at all the data and came up with, and we created a research study out of it. And it was really cool to learn a lot about how to gather feedback from people who are actually using your product and watching them use it and that kind of thing. And then I got to travel and go to a few conferences and present our software to potential physicians that and talk to them about it and figure out like how do you like hear feedback from your target users. And then, like, they want the world, right? And they're like, this, and this, and this, and that's great, whatever, that's not so great. And then relay that back to developers. And be like, well, I have no idea how long it takes to do any of this stuff. I just have to kind of keep track of what I'm hearing out there and, like, figure out how to, like, talk about it with my team. And then the management, really, sales and development, I was just noticing a lot of, like, conflict there. Like, how does sales communicate back to development? And it was very interesting, and it really opened my eyes and made me realize, like, I want to learn more about development because I want to understand what it takes if I'm going to work with a company that is a software company and speak knowledgeably to our clients. I really should have more knowledge and be able to communicate better with our developers. So that was really my main takeaway, even though it was kind of sad that the company didn't end up, it's not currently in business. It was for people who like cooking and nutrition and things like that. It was we had a really cool nutrition application. It was actually like the patients could track all kinds of things based on a plan that was set up by a clinician. And then the clinicians would get alerts and things like that if they were off track with their plan. And so it was fun. So during the time where I was starting to learn coding, I had a really hard time when my different classes ended. There were gaps where I couldn't really find other places to go for. I mean, I know there's lots of stuff online, but sometimes you just really want a class and a teacher to talk to and people to communicate with, like physically next to you. Like, I can't figure this out, right? So I was driving to, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Girl Develop It, but it's a nonprofit organization. They have chapters all around that they, basically are doing what Women in Coding, we based our class off their model of just doing workshops, events, coffee and coding. About once a month we offer classes or like more like self-paced workshops. And unfortunately, Girl Develop It was going through some like issues with their leadership at the time. This was in 2016 when Ksenia, who I work with now, we started this group together, and they were getting slower to adopt new chapters. So really the vision was like, I don't want to drive to Rochester to go to Girl Develop It, even though like I like the people out there. I want to start it in Syracuse. So that was our main goal. And then as we realized that, all right, this is kind of like, we started offering classes under our own brand, and got a lot of people to come out, validated that it was going to work in our community, and then they still didn't give us a chapter. So I'm actually glad that it worked out this way, because I have more flexibility now. We're partnering with libraries and offering more classes, and so anybody's welcome. It's not just for women, by the way. So we can, if you guys want to come out to the next class that we have. And my current side project, I mentioned NativeScript. This doesn't look like much, but I'm building a recipe app that I can use to play around with NativeScript features to help with my actual client work. So it's what I'm building is a recipe app using web technologies to share code between running it on an iOS device or an Android device and also having it work on the web. So we're not going to cover that in my material, but we can talk about it later if anyone's interested. And that's enough about me. So now we're going to get into the actual lesson tonight. I got to switch my